welcome to our fireside chat, how a career in AI and technology can help you find your passion and make a difference. This is going to be an amazing conversation between two CGI leaders. And also, we're really interested in having everyone participate. So if you guys have questions, any thoughts, be sure to leave them in the chat and throughout the conversation. And at the end, we're going to get to your questions. So please do participate, please ask, because that's really what makes these the most exciting. So I'm Chris Dern. I'm your host and moderator for today's conversation. And I couldn't be happier to be joined by these two ladies. So let's dive in and meet the panel. I'm joined here by Joy and Parimal, and I'm actually going to ask both of you to introduce yourself. So Joy, would you please tell us a bit about yourself and how you really got to where you are today?
Hi, my name is Joy Ardenez, and I'm a Director of Consulting Services here in Ottawa. I lead our health consulting practice for the federal government and local healthcare sector, as well as our nationwide Ivalua software center of excellence. So Ivalua is a supply chain management software. And I've been with CGI for about 2.5 years after maybe about 20 years in the hospital sector, and was invited to join CGI about 2.5 years ago and made the leap into the consulting sector, and we've really been enjoying it ever since.
Well, thank you. And Parimal, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, welcome everyone to our session. I'm Parimal Kulkarni. I'm a Director of Consulting with our AI Machine Learning Advanced Analytics practice located in the Western Canadian Business Unit. I've been with CGI close to 7 years now. CGI was my very first consulting gig in my career. And I definitely have some very interesting snippets and thoughts to share today. So looking forward to our little chat.
Thank you very much. So to get started, I know Joy, maybe we'll start with you, and a bit in your introduction, as well as just from you and I working together and chatting, you've worked on some pretty amazing projects and had some cool experiences. Could you share a bit about those and spend some time talking about some of those projects that really kind of brought that passion out that you're really passionate about?
Yes, definitely. As I said, I spent close to 20 years in the hospital sector, and during that time, I learned quite a bit in the digital health space, and really tried to learn a lot in a constantly growing environment. So took on a lot of implementations and from a biomedical standpoint, health information standpoint, and developed a lot of skills. And during this time, we went through COVID, we went through a lot of really rapidly changing world. And here's where the importance of LinkedIn comes in. And this is a plug for anybody on this call to really make sure that your profile stands out and you track what you're doing. One day I received a call from a recruiter at CGI because there was a really interesting project that they had and my profile matched up to it. And it was to work on developing a state-of-the-art prototype of a medical module for the Canadian Space Agency. And this was a dream come true for me. So it put to the test all of the skills that I had been developing over the last 20 years in terms of healthcare IT, project management, workflow, human-centered design thinking, and then a whole lot of learning that I had yet to do, such as, concepts in space medicine. So the impact of, space on the human body. So there was a whole lot of things that, really pushed the boundaries of what I had yet to do. So it was such a thrill to work with CGI on this project. And it was something that we were able to deliver in a year, a fully functioning AI-enabled platform that was an actual physical building that was delivered to the space agency that would be a prototype of what astronauts could use on the moon to deliver healthcare. And so this was really a fascinating project. So this is just a sample of one of the many exciting things I've had the chance to work on in the last few years, and really enjoyed that.
Wow, that's really cool. And I know when you talk about remote health and different things with Indigenous and say, like, to go to space is that you can't get much more remote than that. And I can't even imagine the challenges that could exist from what's available to you versus not, and having to make do and have the right equipment there to support people.
And that, to me, a big part of it is, for a long time in my career, it always mattered to me the outcomes of what I did. And I've been a longstanding advocate for Indigenous health. And even today, I'm on the Healthcare Information Management Society Board of Directors for Eastern Canada. And I serve as an advocate for Indigenous health for North America. Okay. And I worked a lot in bringing healthcare testing to Nunavut and to remote communities. And so I saw a tremendous amount of potential for what this technology could do to improve health for the North. So when we think of remote health, the extremes of space, it's the same thing. It's, people who don't have access to regular care. And so it was really fascinating to be part of a project that would move forward the technologies needed to improve health equity for all people.
That's amazing. So maybe Parimal, I know in your introduction you talked a little bit about what you've done, and it's even looking your profile, talking to you about your experience. You've worked in many different areas, multiple organizations, multiple types of work too, from academic to professional. Like, can you tell a bit about that? And then also from, I know CGI is a consulting firm, but like anything you found surprising working here?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll just maybe outline my career path a little bit, because I think we have attendees today that are in various stages of either their career search journey or just trying to explore opportunities. So my background was academic. I have a PhD in supply chain analytics and logistics and operations research. And my non-consulting work was really in the healthcare space, helping build advanced analytics models for healthcare supply chains and healthcare logistics. And when I moved to CGI, it was a little bit more technology focused. So I was exploring more, the different vendors who offer sort of these AI machine learning platforms for us. And since then, I would say on the consulting side, what I've really enjoyed is the problem solving that we do for clients. Like, we built computer vision models for Indigenous fire safety projects. We've done such truly purpose-driven work in CGI. And there's this flavor of innovation in the company that I think when you get close to looking at our case studies and our project portfolios, like Joy has just outlined some amazing work that we've done, you'll see this flavor of innovation, which I think I've found to be very encouraging in the consulting space, given sort of the lens I had prior to coming into consulting, which I thought was, sort of these very tight client-driven initiatives. But within CGI, we just have this energy and this support system, especially for women, because I sometimes feel like, as a woman in technology, maybe the platform is not always even, the playing field is not always even, and there is this inherent respect for ideas at CGI, regardless of who they're coming from, regardless of what your title is. And that's just something I found different at CGI in my career path. And I think anybody who's sort of looking to work in this space should see that as a green flag to approach CGI.
That's awesome. And like, you're talking both of you actually about some really passionate and impactful work you've worked on, the innovative stuff. And maybe Joy, I'm going to throw to you, like, what do you find personally rewarding, like when you're about your day-to-day work, or what do you look forward to?
So I'm at a point in my career where the ability to give back to younger employees or mentor university students to help drive the industry and help people shape their careers is really been a pleasure to me. And it really has shaped a big part of my role for the last couple of years, being able to go out and speak at events, things like this, but also to be able to, have coffee chats with people and really explore what their goals are. And that brings me a lot of pleasure. Also, to be able to be part of the cutting edge of technology. So a lot of times when I was in organizations like hospitals where budgets were tight, we were always, operating on a shoestring where technology was always several years behind, replacing that old XP computer and trying to keep it alive. We always felt behind. And now we're able to learn about the latest and greatest and really imagine and envision where innovation can take us. And so being a part of somebody who can plan and say, wow, we can actually solve a big problem and we can actually make an impact. That really, it's so exciting to be a part of that wave of things.
That's awesome. And you mentioning XP brings me back to, I got so good at reformatting, reinstalling, and doing all that, or taking me back to my quick reinstall days. But thanks. And actually, so we're gonna go go to some of the questions. We're getting some questions from the audience, so please keep asking if you guys if you have anything on your mind, ask it. But Paramo, I'm gonna grab one from the different questions that have been asked and go to you. So the question was, how is AI evolving within CGI?
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting question and good one. So CGI's take on AI, first of all, is always we will approach AI responsibly. We will approach it as innovation, but deliver it very, very responsibly. And to that effect, we've kind of been our own client zero. We've built a lot of AI artifacts, products, IP internally. And we have teams of developers, data scientists, AI engineers throughout the company that have either brought those skill sets or are being trained up on those skill sets to deliver our AI vision and our AI journey. And we've had excellent success with not just building POCs or pilots. We've actually built production grade AI. Joy has given some examples of that. I mentioned some of the computer vision. We have a lot of Gen AI type products that help across different verticals, different client maturities. But we've done so much of teaching and learning. And we are very close with the Innovation and Research Committee. We're very close to the sort of legislative and legal aspects of AI. And I'm so excited to be in this space because we've built up this excellent portfolio of capabilities. And I really see us as being the sort of leader in the space when it comes to delivering responsible AI.
That's a great point. And then many people at CGI and maybe even on the call know Diane Gutu, who's one of the leaders in AI, and is an amazing in that, doing so much work in Canada, Europe around responsible AI, helping to set the trends. It's so cool to see that. And then, like you said, how CGI continues to evolve there. That's something I appreciate. I get to do it on a daily basis. We don't always get to see that. So that's pretty cool. Joy, maybe another question from the audience. What types of data or AI initiatives do you see having the most long-term social or environmental impact?
So certainly the rise of agentic AI in the last couple of years is going to have a huge impact on areas like healthcare. Canada right now is in a massive staffing crisis when it comes to physicians and nurses. Particularly the administrative burden on family physicians is causing many to leave the industry, we are also facing a situation where 25% of the family physicians in Canada are close to the age of retirement. And we cannot possibly train enough to replace them in time for the population that we have. So we must find ways to decrease the load of paperwork and tasks that they have to accomplish on a daily basis so that they can actually spend more time with the patient, treating them and solving problems. So agentic AI actually can streamline a lot of the paperwork that they have to do. Things like going through their chart for the day, taking a look at the patients that they have, logging into provincial systems and seeing, did that patient have their blood work? Did they have their MRIs, or did they have their x-rays? What were the results of them? So saving all of those steps that the physician would normally spend hours logging into, reading, scanning, and provide a synopsis of it. And then it can go a step further and say, oh, the patient didn't have those tests, therefore they don't need to come in. And therefore call the patient, reschedule the test, and save tons of time and cost in missed appointments or unnecessary appointments, reschedule somebody else who needs to be seen. And so save a lot of time and social costs that we're currently bearing in man hours, in stress, in burnout. So if we start implementing these things in a cost-effective and a trustworthy manner, and this is where Parimal was talking about, we believe in using these things in a responsible way, but by using these things with guardrails and with responsibility, we could really take off, a ton of the burden that we have on our key critical resources right now. And so I think that's where we're going to start seeing a true impact of putting it in the right places.
No, that's very, very well said, I'd say. Like, just that the challenge that exists, the continued fight that we have with productivity, innovation, other opportunities, it's real, right? And we've been talking about it a bit, and we're seeing it today. So it's a great point. So Parimal, I'm going to throw a question to you. And from just talking with yourself and Joy and talking with others, like it's not uncommon to see that there's barriers that women face when getting into the technology workspace.
We have lost Chris's transmission there, but I can see the question that came in, and it was about sort of the barriers that women face in the technology world, and I can speak to it a little bit. So, Joy, I'm sure you've experienced this too. I think there's like a visible and an invisible bias when it comes to women in technology. And I think it's often because maybe we don't necessarily fit the mold of leadership that is expected and anticipated. And I've seen that sometimes. I'm the only woman in the room, and the stakes are high, the solutions are complicated. And to just have the confidence to sort of voice your thoughts and address these solutions holistically and say these are all the different viewpoints to consider, it takes a little bit of practice, I think, to build that confidence. But what I've also found is having sort of your community of support, right? So it's the confidence in yourself, but the confidence that the people in the room can express in your opinion or your solution that you've proposed. It, of course, it takes a little bit of establishing yourself as a person in that community, but I've found that either through mentorship or as through my career, providing that mentorship to other women has really helped address some of those barriers. But I can totally see where the question is coming from, because it's one of the many factors that holds women back from entering the field of technology. And it is a shame because we have a lot to contribute to this field. So I really hope, like, through events such as this, or when people please reach out to us, you can connect to us on LinkedIn or other professional social media. Really happy to sort of provide guidance on how to enter the world of technology as a woman. Welcome back, Chris.
Yeah, I seem to be having some issues of my own there that I had to get past, and that not stressful at all when your browser crashes for no reason. But now I'm back.
and I think too, because I've been working for many years, and I've seen a massive evolution in the culture, the workplace culture. That era when all the outer offices were men and women were corralled to the cubicles in the middle. It's just a very different culture now, but it then shifted that in technology, men were coders, men were leaders, women were project managers, women did sales. And it was, again, even if you did the exact same education, it still filtered you to these different paths. And you still have to stand your ground and say, I have a passion for this technology. I have innovation. I have ideas, and stand your ground for what it is that you believe that you want to create and that you want to do. But then recognize that everything now is technology. It's not one career. It's not one path. So I did see a question on come through about business. Somebody has a business background. I have a business background. I have an MBA. And the fact is, that's who we need in business right now. I was at a conference last week for the federal government, and they were talking now, they're structuring all of their IT departments in a cluster around business. So if you imagine business at the core of everything they do, and IT is little spokes off of it, and everything is, business drives the concept of everything digital. And so if you understand the core reason for what you're doing, then you are the one that's going to drive the innovation, the workflow. You're going to help explain why we need to be digital, how we need to do it, the best workflows. And so what I would advise you to do, if you really want to advance in a digital tech career, really pursue something in user design and design thinking, and start picking up those skills, because marrying those two together is a massive plus. And that's really the best place to start.
That's awesome.
Great.
So on all of that, and we're kind of talking about quite a bit about some of the barriers and the things that exist. And maybe I can go to you, Parimal, and enjoy if there's time to kind of add on as well. Like, what's something you wish you would have known 5, 10, 15 years ago? And what would, like, why would this be useful for you? Like, maybe just talking about that. I always find that can be one of the most interesting things of we talk about this. Like, what's something you wish you would have known and that you could have acted on?
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think this question also addresses some of the other questions I'm seeing coming from the audience about, like, what certificates can I get, sort of what skills or mindset do I need to develop. And when I look back, I think my biggest lesson learned is that your career path is always evolving. You do not have to be defined by a certain skill set that you have or a certificate that you have. These are, these are your sort of learning journeys and paths in your career. And when I look back on my own career, I think I often wonder, like, okay, I maybe, traded passion for something that paid well. Was that a good decision at that time? And maybe it was, but I think we just need to maybe keep the larger goal in mind, is that you're sort of developing yourself as a person. And so, take the opportunities that come along, go to that one conference that you think may be sort of interesting, but then you'll meet a really cool group of people who will maybe help you think differently. And when I look back on my career journey, I'm very thankful I kind of went out and did some of those events or opportunities, or took up some of those learning opportunities. And that really has sort of helped build or define what my career path was going to be. And I'm sure I'll look back on this day and I'll think, wow, I should have thought about that when I was answering that question. So I'm sure there's more to come in terms of, what do I need to develop in over the next decade.
That's awesome.
I agree. And I think my big learning is don't put yourself in a box. Don't say I am a programmer or I am a Java specialist, or you may be those things, but that's not all you are. And I think if you have a North Star, if you have a purpose, if you have what it is you're trying to accomplish or bring to the world, no matter how the technology shift or your life circumstances change, that's going to pull you through and help you pivot when times get tough or technology shift. You're going to find your path through, and you're going to be the one that evolves when everybody else stays behind. I never would have envisioned 20 years ago that I'd be designing things for the space agency, but I am so glad I got that chance. But you just have to say yes. You just have to, be open to having that purpose of solving wicked problems, and it's going to happen.
Yeah, I just to build upon that, Joy, like one of the things I picked up from consulting is this idea of practice, right? We have, AI practices and analytics practices. And I sometimes think of myself as a practice. Is there something that is constantly being developed and built? I can go look for sort of what skill sets I need to be building next. But the thing you mentioned, like, what's your North Star? What is it that you want to do? And everything around it kind of just is another practice or another development activity that you're doing for yourself.
That's a great point. So we're getting close to time. We've had lots of questions, but I mean, just to kind of throw out there, a lot of conversation and great conversation. But Joy, is there any final thoughts that you want to add or leave the audience with today?
I think if you are a person that really wants to make an impact, and you are early in your career, so either in school or in your career, look for associations. So whether it's if you're in the healthcare sector or you're in some other sector, there are always associations that you can join that have mentorship, that have expertise that will guide you through. So really, really look for those and align yourself with them, because they are a great leg up. So that is probably my best career advice to pretty much anybody.
That's awesome. Parimal, what about from you?
I would just say, connect with people. This forum itself is a great opportunity. I've had a couple conversations this morning with a few attendees. So yes, please find us, come talk to us, ask us, where you think you want to go, and we're always happy to share thoughts.
Oh, that's great way to close it. So I want to thank the audience, everyone that's listening in on this. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always great to see that. Parimal, Joy, amazing job, amazing conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your insights, sharing your experience, and hopefully inspiring some people to do and follow their passion into some cool stuff and not put themselves in a box, as you guys were saying. So to everyone, please, there's a survey that we're going to put up on the screen. Please do fill that out. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what you have to say. And if you're interested in anything careers at CGI and data in the AI space, please go to our exhibit booth. Come talk to us. That's why we're here, and would love to hear from you from that. So thanks again to everyone, and please do fill out the survey and come join us.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.